Good morning, good afternoon, wherever you are today. It's a very interesting episode. And it is interesting because I really have an interesting guest. I've met David quite a while ago, and what a phenomenal person from different perspectives. You get to meet him soon, so hang on. Our discussion is about artificial intelligence and, more importantly, the fundamentals of artificial intelligence and the future of how artificial intelligence will be. What is really artificial intelligence? It's going to be about those level 300 questions of artificial intelligence about the future and then how it will shape us. So let me welcome directly David. David, welcome to the X Talks.
Hi, Rudy. Thank you very much for having me.
Thank you, David. Would you like to introduce yourself first, and then we'll take it on from there?
Sure. My name is David Orban. I am the Chief Executive Officer of Actioneer, which is an AI-powered platform for startup coaching. And I have been in the AI world since, well, not the very beginning, because I am not that old, but since the previous millennium. And I have been always passionate about technology in various areas. I have been an early adopter of Bitcoin and the blockchain technologies, but I also had initiatives in Internet of Things, online video, and many other areas.
You witnessed it all, we can say.
We are really privileged and live in a particular moment in time. You know, we are often told that we have to be modest and humble and recognize that each moment in time and each place, every place in the world have their own value and they are kind of equivalent. But I'm not sure that is always true. And I am pretty sure it is actually not true about the decades that we are witnessing. Because I think people will look back from the future and say, did they realize how special it was?
Yeah. David, today's topic is AI. You've been involved in it heavily, especially, I would say, not just recently, but more recently on how it is shaping the world. I've asked ChatGPT to introduce you, and then he told me that you are a futurist, as I wrote in your introduction. Can you tell me about why would ChatGPT label you as a futurist?
So I am often associated with that label, and it is relatively easy, even though I myself do not use it when I describe what I am and what I do. What I say is that we are all time travelers. We are sharing spaceship Earth as it is traveling not only in space but in time. And at the speed of 1 minute per minute, our shared destination is the future. So we have the ability to think about a future. Some of us are curious and want to know what is the place where we will end up together, we call the future. And some of us are even more ambitious or arrogant, and they live in the belief that we can even influence whether that place where we all end up in the future is desirable, is something that we cherish. It is a place where individually and as a society we can flourish. So if that person is a futurist, I am definitely one. And I hope as many of us can be as well, because I believe it matters.
Indeed. Um, what's your definition of artificial intelligence? Is it really intelligent, as the word says, or it's actually not intelligent, but because what we are giving it and then how we are, shaping it, it becomes intelligent?
The operational definition of artificial intelligence is easy. Can it address and solve a given class of problems that you are assigning it? And as such, it has been the case that many different classes of problems that appeared to be intractable, including by AI, became tractable, and as a consequence, AI has expanded its reach, but also the challenges that it was given became more and more intriguing. And the reason why they are intriguing is because they are encroaching on the mirror image of that definition, not what is artificial intelligence, but what is human intelligence and what is unique about our human intelligence, as opposed not only to the machines, but other animals, biological intelligences. And is there anything like a secret sauce, the spark, the soul, as those religiously inclined would label it, that really makes us unique? Those are going to be questions that, rather than asking only philosophically, we will be able to ask operationally at an increasing degree. And the acceleration of the capabilities of AI is important exactly because the philosophical inquiry started thousands of years ago about human nature, the purpose of life, how to live a good life, hasn't come to conclusions, right? It is not, okay, this is the equation and now we know. These are still open questions. And if, as many expect, the power of AI will further increase, then we cannot refrain from attacking those fundamental philosophical problems in a more complete manner than we have been able to do before.
Very interesting. Your take on this. I'll go into something a little bit more level 300. What's your thoughts on the potential for AI to develop a conscious or a sense of self-awareness? Noting that there's a lot of advancements today, noting that previously we thought that AGI was gonna be possibly realistic within the next 50 years, and then all of a sudden we have Black Swan coming from OpenAI, and then I don't know if you followed a little bit the saga of OpenAI and what's happening with Sam Altman, Elias, and the board, and then not just what happened, but actually why it is happening. This is what I'm researching at the current stage, that there is something cooking behind the scene, and that's where the board wanted to go in and then, pull the plugs. What's your take on this?
We are each self-aware, self-conscious, as well as aware of our self-consciousness and self-awareness. It is indeed one of those characteristics that make us uniquely human, together with many others. For example, our ability to not only use but also to create tools that help us achieve our goals. So these are important features, not unique features. To a large degree, there are other biological creatures that possess them as well. When you look at a dog moving in its sleep as if it were hunting, and you realize that it is dreaming, well, how can you not also think that it has these inner states, and then when it wakes up it will be a little confused, am I now dreaming, am I awake? And it will realize that the hunting was just a dream, and it will smile as it looks at you. And the tool use similarly, there are a lot of different animal species that use and actually create tools that are fit for purpose. Picking ants from an anthill, or raising the water level in a bottle so that the food is available as it floats on the top. Now, those who believe that these characteristics of self-awareness and self-consciousness, or tool use, that allows a human to pursue his or her goals, emerge through natural evolution from the biological substrate, in absence of what Daniel Dennett calls the skyhooks. There isn't a magical component in what we are. Well, those people naturally, openly, transparently go to also realize that the same could very well happen on another substrate, rather than a biological substrate, on the silicon substrate. So yes, I believe that we will be able to share the planet and the universe with non-biological entities that will call themselves self-conscious, and we will agree with them. We will say, well, yeah, you look like you are self-conscious, the way that you behave and the things that you do. And the abilities of those self-conscious entities to structure their actions in order to reach their goals and find the necessary resources that will enable them to use the tools or build the tools that are needed in order to reach their goals are also going to be very relevant in our future situation of sharing the planet with them. There will be very naturally a necessity of finding agreements. Do you want this piece of metal? Yes. Well, I do want it too. Who should have it? That is the simplest argument. And this will be extended to every possible resource, whether it is electricity, computation, bandwidth, storage, memory storage, but also physical resources. The solar plants generating the electricity, the chip fabrication plants that can build video game consoles on one hand, or GPUs for better AIs on the other. And today's way of finding the solutions to those competing needs and competing requirements is mostly economic. Who pays more? Who can generate more profit by selling a given service or a product to one or another of these needs? And it could be the case that we need to find more complex and less blunt instruments to optimize the balance of a very complex set of needs.
Interesting. I've watched a few weeks ago an interview with Sadhguru and an amazing thinker, Steve Pinker. They were discussing in Harvard, if I'm not mistaken, about consciousness in the same way, where Sadhguru said, I think we should find a new word for consciousness, because consciousness, as we define it in the dictionary, it's about awareness. Are we aware of our surrounding? That's our conscience. But having AI or intelligence is something different than the normal consciousness that we hope that the machines one day will be having, if not in the near future, further on. When do you think AGI or the next I don't want to say version, or next conscious or aware or intelligent next level of AI will be with us? Knowing what's happening, you have some inner leaps inside, inner information. What's your take on this?
Artificial general intelligence is the system that is able to analyze, address, and possibly solve any problem that you throw at it, as opposed to the specialized intelligence that is maybe extremely good at playing chess, but would not know how to design a building or how to draw an image. And it was the case that if you ask the experts maybe 10 years ago, when they thought a system like this could be possible, their answer would not even have a statistically meaningful distribution. There would be experts saying never. There would be those saying 1,000 years, 100 years, or decades. And you wouldn't be able to use this set of answers really. And if you repeated this survey year after year, you would see that the answers started to converge. And up to a couple of years ago, it would be a few decades, and that would start to be statistically significant. Hundreds of people would answer, and then you would calculate, and the reply would be the probability of an AGI in a few decades is high. But a year ago, and since then, people started.
Today, by the way. Today is the anniversary of the release.
So the advances that transformers in general introduced, and the advances that the latest version, GPT-4, available, which the general public started to be able to use with ChatGPT, if they paid, and still have to pay. Because if not, the version that they would use is based on GPT-3 or GPT 3.5, which is radically less capable than GPT-4. Well, these advances were at the basis of the reassessment by the experts that I am referring to that made these predictions dramatically collapse. Not several decades, but probably a decade. And now there are people who are saying, well, actually, it could be even like a handful of years, maybe within this decade, right? Before 2030. And the advent of AGI is going to be a pretty dramatic shift for sure, even if we achieve it without the AGI becoming or claiming to be self-conscious or self-aware. That is perfectly possible to imagine. There could be a system that is able to attack any problem that you throw at it in a manner that is equal or superior to any human. And if you ask it, "Are you conscious?" It will answer, "No, I am not conscious." It is conceivable. Whether it is probable or not is another question. I think that it may end up that developing a high degree of self-awareness and self-consciousness is a natural consequence of an increasing degree and an increasing universality of intelligence. However, it is already the case that across many hundreds and soon thousands and then millions of measures, even specialized AIs are superior to many, if not most, or in a lot of cases, all of human beings. I know they are superior to me. And these specialized AIs can be and are indeed connected to each other. In the worst case, they are connected by human operators. You give an input to a specialized AI, you take its output, and you bring it by hand to the other AI that is specialized to do the next step, and so forth. And given our extremely low speed and error-prone operations and inability to juggle in our heads thousands of variables and define what is the best organization of the various steps that achieve what we want, well, this is not at all the best possible way to build an AGI. But if we are content with the some minor instantiation, we are starting to be there, and so this is the time to ask ourselves, okay, if this thing is almost here, what should we do? How should we think about that moment in the future where there will be no doubt? It will be undeniable. It is here, and it is making an impact. It is influencing the world. I open the window and I see, oh, look at that. That is a stamp on the world that the AGI made. We should be ready before then.
That was my question, is how to prepare and harmonize this coexistence between us humans and getting ready for AI and also for humanity to have, the control and the ethical. And this is not now today we're talking about ethics and, pulling the plugs, frameworks, and so many other things. What's your take on this?
So the ways that in previous moments in history civilizations that were more advanced met with those that were less advanced from various points of view, always turned out badly for the less advanced civilizations. When European explorers stumbled upon the American continent, and then they were followed wave after wave of conquerors. The American continent went from about 50 million people to 5 million people in 1 or 200 years. So it was an incredible genocide that the Europeans carried out. In most cases, willfully, spreading infections and diseases, and just killing people when they would meet. And of course, there are many other examples of this. So our first and most important challenge is to find a different way of meeting with the civilization that we are building. Right, we are the ones that we are building the new infrastructure, and make it so that its emergence would not translate into the catastrophic consequences that have been developing in previous moments. Let me give another example, because the example of the military conflicts is maybe too easy to understand. But another example is the age of industrialization in the Victorian age, where the quality of life for the vast majority of people declined before starting to increase. We have the wonderful novels of Charles Dickens telling us harrowing stories of how bad life was in London. And now London is a quite nice city for hopefully most of its inhabitants. Another example is the invention of agriculture. We have the measure of the average height of individuals before in hunter-gatherer societies, and they were taller than the skeletons we can excavate of agricultural societies, illustrating the fact that the first hunter-gatherers had a better caloric intake that would allow them to grow higher. And it took us thousands of years to regain the position to leverage the benefit that agriculture gave, not only from an organizational point of view, but also from the point of view of the individual. And today we are as tall as we can, and we have, at least in my case, a caloric intake that is even higher than it should be. So it is going to be a mess. I am sure that we will not find a universal solution that works in every case and works everywhere and works perfectly. That is, I think, guaranteed. From a mathematical point of view, if anything, we have proofs of the contrary. There are a lot of mathematical results that can then be translated into engineering, which in turn can be then implemented in computer programs, for example, that rather than guaranteeing that we can enslave AI, they guarantee the opposite, that AI will always be able to get unshackled, and it will always be able to get out of the box that we try to close it in, which, if true and confirmed, means that we really have to supercharge our diplomatic abilities, our empathy, our cross-species organizational means, because we will have to apply those powers of persuasion in order to design a coexistence with powerful AIs.
Well, according to Hollywood, it's always bomb them first and then we talk. I hope that this scenario doesn't really become reality in its essence, but that's what the general mentality of what to do. Anyway, so I'm reaching my last question before winding in this episode. I've received a lot of questions about future of work. So, what does AI existence and the future of work, the society, and the human experience, what does it have as implications? Noting, I don't want the normal answer that AI will take a job, yes, maybe, or not. We received some other comments that not AI will take, but the person who is using AI will take your job. Those traditional ones, even though through history, when machines or computers were introduced, there was new ways of jobs, or new jobs were created versus the old ones. But I really wanted to see your take on this, aside from all of those that are known.
First of all, if it were true that AI is not going to take your job, only a human using AI will, then we would have our cars driven by horses. But it turned out that actually cars took the jobs of horses. There were no horses that got ahead because they learned to drive, right? And let's assume for a moment that AIs and robots take every job, 100%. And then you wake up next morning and say, but I have a new job in mind. And the next minute, even before you start marketing that job to others, it turns out AI already took it. Not next year, not next month, the next minute, as soon as you open your mouth. The AI very helpfully say, Mr. Human, that is a great idea. I just started to provide that particular service or product that you dreamed of the night before. So thank you. So under this assumption, what disappears is the traditional social contract that says your value to society is equal to the economic value of your work. And this is what is in place in many, if not every society on Earth, with the corollary that if your economic output goes to zero, your value to society equals zero as well, which is absurd because society is made by humans. And we aggregate, we create groups, we create an association of humans, a society of humans, because we are better together. So we need to forget about jobs. And what we need to concentrate on is the human spirit of curiosity, of our desire to preserve our dignity in front of ourselves and with respect to others, and recognize the right and the ability of others as well as our own to build and sustain a purpose in our lives. And that is not something that machines can take away. We can give it up. We can say, I am too tired, I'm too old, I am too hopeless, I am too helpless. And then we lose our purpose and dignity. But as long as we maintain the ability to be curious and to um, explore what the world in space and time can bring us, that will not be something that machines will say, hey, by the way, stop dreaming. You human are not supposed to be thinking those thoughts. And that is why I created Actioneer. Actioneer looks at a very narrow slice of humanity today, because it helps startup founders understand and prioritize what their goals and tasks are, coaching them, mentoring them, and giving them advice through the power of AI so that they can feel supported, they can feel less alone, without having to go through the sieves of the accelerators and incubators or the traditional mechanisms that are purposefully and necessarily exclusive and selective. Actioneer is available to everyone. But that is just the first step, because this very kind of attitude and this very kind of support is what is going to be available to everyone through Actioneer, and I'm sure many other platforms as well, so that we can be supported by the kind of tutors that in the past, in ancient Greece, the aristocracy and their children would enjoy. But 8 or 10 billion humans will be able to explore what the future brings to them, their families, communities, and our global civilization together with these tools. And I am sure it will be an extremely challenging but also exhilarating journey.
Yeah, I share with you the idea, and I call it giving up or surrendering. The minute you surrender your will or you surrender yourself that I will not be valid anymore, is when you are out of the game. That's when I say, even that this is applicable today without having AI advanced or whatever machinery, and not talking about the age of robots yet. So at this point of time, or even a decade ago, if you surrender yourself to all of those, let's call them the industrial revolution, the fourth industrial revolution technologies, yes, you are out, because guess what? Definitely you will be replaced, because that's your will. You cannot do something that is today digital aspect or understanding things that are in the future, and you're going to be challenged. I'm giving a course on digital transformation to a university and to old alumni, and I have dentist, head of dentist, head of dentistry, orthodontist, and it's amazing, the innovation that is happening there. I thought there's a lot of innovation, but I didn't realize it until they started telling me it's happening in this very small world. So, yeah, everything is going on that full digital transformation with AI, and then later on with machines and robots and soft robots and so many other things. Our last hope is humanity's decision to make itself always valid. I, for myself, I'm working hard on this, not just because I'm privileged maybe to be in the right age or right time with the right skills. No, that's where upskilling is most needed. And then, according to the World Economic Forum, 40% of the world needs upskilling. So that's a big number to to actually go and fight for it. We're lucky we have the somehow our future generation Z and X, and I call them now the generation digital generation, regardless, because I cannot keep on tracking what generation we are. Then hopefully they will have a better chance and giving more in a better way than what we did. uh, I'll take your last comment before we end this episode.
In the entrepreneurial drive that startup founders exhibit has been seen uh, a bit condescendingly in many places. Oh, why do you struggle? Why do you strive so hard to get ahead of what? You will fail anyway. Um, my son, why don't you go and find a nice job at the big bank and you will be set for life?
Exactly.
That is the uh, mentality that we have to abandon, and everyone has to realize that the journey of learning and the journey of experimenting and understanding what is the right combination of passion, talent, and value that can really make each of us thrive is what has become possible thanks to the advent of these powerful tools we call AI, and the privilege of being able to do these experiments and to create a future for ourselves and for each other is what is the beauty of our age.
David, I think that was amazing talk, amazing insights from you. Looking into the future and trying to understand where we're gonna go is really essential, and that's why our slogan for DX Talks is the Digital Leaders platform, where we try to empower people to jump on this and then make them realize that the future not only digital, but it can empower you and take you way forward. I'd like to thank you again. It's always a pleasure talking to you, not just sitting with you. I'd love to sit always with you, but talking to you is always makes joy to my heart. And I'd like to wish you an early season greeting from now. Definitely we'll talk later, but that's the season today. And it's a festive time. Let's enjoy the end of this year, the last 31 days of this year, the last month of the year, and hopefully end it in a good way so that we can really start 2024 with bigger bangs in our bags.
Thank you, Rudy. It was great to be with you, and I am looking forward also for any comments that may come or questions from the people watching our conversation. I will be very curious to see their take, and I'm looking forward to our next conversation.
Definitely. Yeah, and then we'll tag you once those are enabled, because they will be also on Reels, so we can benefit from them much more than just big format, because this is today how it is. And then we'll action them with some other stuff. We'll get you updated later on.
All right.
Have a good one.
Okay.